Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum class. Students who have joined us here and who have joined us online, today's lecture is very important. Now this is a continuity of our previous lecture about writing. In that one, we learned about editing and proofreading skills, and now we are going to see our students' learning outcome. Says follow the steps of the process approach to plan for writing a paragraph, and in the whole process, doing mind mapping using a variety of graphic organizers. We are also going to see free writing and note taking. Now, when we are writing any assignment, any work, any homework, for that purpose, my dear learners, we follow a whole process, and it has 3 steps. We are going to see the steps of process approach of writing, which will help us write an efficient and effective piece of writing, whether it is for any purpose. And in that procedure, we will be seeing all these different strategies and techniques that we have mentioned. Now, if you remember, while writing an answer or while doing any written task, you follow some steps. So what are the steps that you follow? You can just raise your hands and tell me that when you're writing any essay, any story, or any letter, anything, so do you follow a certain method? My dear learners, you have to be very active for this lesson. This is about writing. So you can clear all your confusions about it, and you can just post your answer in the chat box, or you can just raise your hands. All right, now let's see. Of course, there are some steps that are under discussion, that are under your consideration before attempting to write anything. And we are going to see that best method that we can adopt in the name of and in the process of process approach. Now, just this quick little brainstorming about writing, how important it is to follow an organized and structured way. So you can think about it, and then you can just move on. Now this is your activity. Now for that part, you have to start by brainstorming ideas for a paragraph on the given topic, my favorite hobby. Now, if we have this exemplary topic, my favorite hobby, first we will brainstorm. We will think about hobbies, what they are, what do I like when it comes to hobbies, do I do them, and what are my favorite hobbies. You can plan it, think about it, write it on paper. This is what we call brainstorming. We are storming our brains for the topic that we are going to write. Now, let's talk about keeping that in mind, my favorite hobby. Let's see how we can do it by process approach of writing. So, first, let's understand this process, this approach. You can call it a method also. So, the process approach to writing is a method that involves several stages. This means it has different stages. Now, this will help you improve the quality of your writing. Now, whether you're writing any task that I'm talking about, you do not need to be confused about just about essay. This is when you're writing a paragraph. This is when you are writing your story, any. We are on the stage of pre-writing. Pre means before we write. Just like we brainstormed about the topic, my favorite hobby. I will list down every hobby that I have. I will talk about it. I will think about it. then I can write it on the paper, I can take notes, etc. I am just preparing myself for the topic that I am going to write. Now, in the pre-writing process, this is all we do. Drafting means when you are actually started writing on the paper. Now you are drafting it. It's okay if the first draft, the first one, is not up to the mark. We can do a second attempt or a third attempt till we order and the right things that we need to be putting on the paper. And then we follow post-writing. Drafted it after we have written it on the paper. Now we are going to make some changes. We are going to make it better. Now these are the three steps: pre-writing, drafting, and post-writing. Now, first, what we do is brainstorm. Now let's see. Brainstorming helps generate ideas. You will generate all your ideas that you're going to put in the essay. About my favorite hobby, we are taking it as an example, and organize thoughts. Like first, I'm going to talk about hobbies in general. Then I'm going to talk about different hobbies there are and what are my hobbies. I'll discuss them one by one in a very organized and ordered manner. So I'm going to organize my thoughts about hobbies, about the material that I will be writing in the essay. We can make a list on the paper. We can make bullet points, we can number them just to get a list on the paper so that our ideas, all our hobbies are seen. So it will not be. Then we can create a concept map. So we also, what it is, you already are familiar with it. You can create a map out all your ideas, your different topics and subtopics that you're going to discuss in the essay. And then you are using a graphic organizer. Graphic means like that which you can visually see. You can use the graphics, pictures, you can use animations on the paper, and you can also do that little organization of the whole essay before you actually put it into the writing process. So this all these techniques, making a list, creating a concept map, or just doing different organizers, maybe making a table or any diagram, all these fall under the process which we call brainstorming. We are just getting ready, we are preparing for the writing ahead. Then let's talk about each one of them one by one. For listing, you will be generating broad ideas, then building on them with more detail in bullet pointed lists. Then group and label these lists so you have possible subpoints to develop. So when do we use listing? This is a very important question. We will be using listing when we need to produce a lot of information in a short amount of time, or when we have a broad topic that you need to narrow down. Let's say an essay on problems of our country, problems that we are facing. So there are many, so many titles, so many names to add, so many different headings and titles, subtitles. So we can organize all these using a list. Any topic which is you think is a little broader, any bigger topic, can be actually reduced into one list so that we can add more details in the list as we proceed and later on. Now, this is when we are doing our listing. This is happening before we are writing. Then you can see a mind map over here, putting your idea, your main topic in the center, and then forming branches, sub-branches, subtopics, and supporting details to map out the whole topic in a graphic organizer. So this is also an example of a graphic organizer. Now, what it is basically it's a visual strategy. It's a technique that shows hierarchy and explores relationships between topics or ideas using these lines, those arrows that you add. So you are a visual learner who likes to the bigger picture of how ideas relate to one another. I also talked about it yesterday. We are visual learners. We learn by seeing. So we can arrange all of these things on paper, maybe 3 papers or 4 pages, so that when we start writing, we do not worry about ideas coming, because we have already written down the ideas, the plans, the subtopics in a list or any other graphic organizers. So we can just fetch that out of that and just start drafting our essay. Now, let's talk about organizing. Yes, it is very important that we organize each and everything in a very good order, let's say a chronological order, from ascending to descending order, so that our whole essay or paragraph is in a well organized manner. Now, it refers to the structure and arrangement of ideas. We will be taking care of structure, how we are going to first introduce the topic, then write supporting details in the body paragraph, and then we conclude our essay. And before that, we can give some solutions. If it's an essay, if it's a problem solving essay, if it's an argumentative essay or a little complicated one, we can just write our supporting details and then our conclusion in a very organized manner. Now, when we are writing a paragraph, what we do is we first write a topic sentence. The first sentence that we have in our paragraph is called the topic sentence. It is very important that we write it, then we add supporting detail for that topic sentence so that it has some detail, some information, and then we conclude our sentence. We end it. We end the paragraph with a conclusion, with a concluding remark, so that the whole idea is summarized into 1 or 2 sentences. Now, let's talk about another technique. Now, what we are going to do is start writing. A technique called free writing is very important, my dear learners. In the middle of the lesson, if you have any question, you can still raise your hands or ask it in the in the chat box. Now, free writing. It's suggested by the name. What do you think? Free writing is when we are writing freely. We are just keep on writing without worrying about grammatical mistakes or any kind of error or mistake. Now, first, we write freely without worrying about grammar, spelling, or punctuation. Let's say we are writing about my favorite place or my favorite hobby. First, I'll take a paper and just keep on writing whatever comes in my mind. So I will not be worrying about grammar. We can correct it later. We can correct our spellings later. We do not want to stuck while we are writing freely. We are just going to put our ideas and the whole relatable things into the paper. And this is what we call free writing. Then again, we can correct the mistakes. We can actually check our grammar later. We can check about our punctuation marks if they are put correctly or not. But before that, all you need to do is just write. Now, organizers. Now, this is also mentioned in our students' learning outcome. Graphic organizers, they are related to visuals. They provide a visual representation of the structure and organization of ideas, helping writers to see the relationship between different concepts more clearly. Now, this is a visual aid. This is helping you in visualizing your ideas. It can enhance your understanding and in the planning and development of the written work. Now, we use all these organizers like we talked about it, your mind map, your diagrams, charts, graphs, all of those things. You are just organizing your data, your topic into such organizers. Now, this is very helpful when you are dealing with a vast and broad topic. So graphic organizers are very good and they're very helpful. Let's talk about reviewing and revising. Now that we have started writing and we are done, what are we supposed to do? We start reviewing what we have just written. We cannot submit it as it is. We cannot hand it over to the teacher or instructor till we have reviewed it and we have revised it. First, review your first draft. First draft is the first attempt of the written work, and make necessary changes. Now you can make changes about grammar, your structure, your all those mistakes, and then you proofread your work before finalizing the paragraph or the essay. Now, draft of the written work. So revising occurs during your first reread of your first draft, when you start to think about how well it addresses the task, requirements, and how well it addresses the needs and expectations of your readers. You might decide you need to add or remove some parts. You can just add another information, another fact, another subpoint. So you can do it in the process of reviewing and revising. Now, this is a simulation video link added so that you can watch it later to learn more about how we can write effectively using the process approach of writing. Now, for the classroom activity, you can do it later on since we are short of time. You can submit it in the WhatsApp group that we have. Now, you have to follow this process approach that we have learned about today and then write an essay on the topic of peace. Now, it should be an essay and it should be written according to that process approach of writing. For your homework, you have to write a simple paragraph on a topic of your choice, keeping in view the process approach of writing. You can choose any topic of your likeness, but you have to follow those steps in order to make it an effortless and also errorless piece of writing. Now, at the end, before taking some questions, here are your resources attached. You can access it. If you're watching on YouTube, you can get it from Chases Academy's YouTube channel's description down below. And for students who are here and online, we can share it with you in the WhatsApp group. You can access it. You can also access it from the Chases Academy's website. Now, thank you for understanding. Thank you for listening.